everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 505 SVF program. I'm Kurt Roth, and we're coming to you from the studios of ProView, high above Central Avenue in beautiful downtown Albuquerque. Want to say thanks to my producer, Adrian from Anaheim, and up the stairs in the big chair, Steve Davis, president, who gratefully gives us this opportunity to come to you every week to talk about name, image, and likeness and the UNM Lobos. We have a special guest, an old friend. We'll get to with him in a second. But first, I've got to sell you something. If we can put up on the big board here our little ad. We are having a fundraising or meet and greet event and a golf tournament for 505 SVF next Thursday and Friday. First, our tip-off dinner at Fusion ABQ on First Street downtown, and which goes from 6 to 8 on Thursday. It's a great opportunity for all Lobo fans to come hang out with each other and meet the entire Lobo team. Tables will have a player or two at each one. It'll be a great event. Coach Patina will speak. Interim athletic director Dave Williams, and you'll get to hear me again. And anyway, that's Thursday, the 26th of September, 6 to 8 p.m., followed by our golf outing the next day, 12 o'clock registration at Santa Ana Golf Club. So join us next week. We look forward to it. You have to go to golobos.com/tip-off dinner. That's golobos.com/tip-off dinner. Register, join us. It'll be a great couple of days leading up to the trip down to Las Cruces where we smoke the Aggies. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our guest and talk all sorts of Lobo stuff. Stay with us.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of the 505 SVF show. We'll get right to it. Our time is limited. And I want to introduce my special guest, familiar to all of us, a good friend, Rob Portnoy, voice of the Lobos. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be with you, Kurt.
Okay, lots to talk about. We're coming into basketball's heating up, but we're right in the middle of football. Interesting time in Albuquerque. Lobos are 0-3, and there's optimism.
There's optimism for a lot of reasons. Number one, you've got a head coach that is pedigreed like no other when arriving on campus, right? Bronco Mendenhall gives you reason to believe. That's number one. Number two is performance. Yes, the Lobos are 0-3, but twice they've gone on the road against an autonomous 4 opponent in a very difficult environment and just matched them punch for punch for at minimum 2 quarters. Each game got away from the Lobos a little bit in the third quarter, but still, you're talking about nearly 500 yards of offense at Arizona, over 400 yards of offense at Auburn. This team is going to move the ball, and it's going to score points. Just a little bit better performance in the red zone, and they'd have had Auburn really scared last Saturday.
Yeah, no, amazing performance. I was lucky enough to be there most of the time on the field. Incredible atmosphere in the stadium. Big time.
Hard to beat 88,000. The organization, the commitment, and the passion of those fans is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I love the student section. I don't know, I'm guessing 10,000, 8,000 in a section behind the Lobo bench. Almost the whole game, they're waving these brown pom-poms in unison. Super exciting. They actually have the War Eagle fly into the stadium. The place goes nuts. It lands on the 40-yard line, and it's just super big time. And something, in a way, obviously on a relative scale, we aspire to do here.
No question. And certainly scaled down, but there's no reason that 35,000 to 40,000 with the successful program can't be packing University Stadium. We've seen it as recently as the mid-2000s.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'd love to see that end zone section filled with students dressed in cherry and going nuts and just having a great time. And I think we're getting there. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the outstanding thing that we've seen is the Lobo offense. Incredible work by our coordinator, big time, Coach Beck, big time guy. But let's talk about the quarterback.
Devin Dampier is special. The reality is that if he had 3 inches of height, he'd probably be doing this exact thing for maybe Auburn. I mean, that's how good he is. We are so lucky to have him. We need to keep him. But he has been amazing through 3 games. The fact that no play is dead ever because of him gives you a chance week in and week out. Just keep him healthy, baby. The Lobos are going to be fun to watch as long as he's quarterbacking.
Well, let me put you on the spot, and I'm not 100% sure of this answer. At Auburn and at Arizona, how many times was he sacked?
Right. No, they've kept him clean, and it's amazing to think that. The offensive line, too, has gone through a couple of transformations because it lost its starting center. Then a man who came in to replace a tackle, because a tackle moved to center, he went down. And they haven't skipped a beat. Coach told us that he thought he had 8 guys that he trusted to play O-line. He's clearly gone 7 deep already, and he's been right.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just super exciting. Lobos, both first halves would answer. Arizona scores, Auburn scores. The Lobos answer. Drive. They missed a field goal in Auburn, which was a little painful. Would have been 1 point at halftime instead of 4. But they answered the call. Hey, they took the lead in Arizona in the second quarter. So that's great. Obviously, what seems to happen is the defense wears down.
Definitely does. And I think that one thing that was disappointing from the Auburn contest is that clearly there was an issue on kickoff coverage. And an early kickoff return for 66 yards gave Auburn a short field. The Lobos elected from that point forward to kick short, and even one of those short kickoffs got returned for 40 yards. You can't give quality teams short fields the way that the Lobos did with Auburn. It happened 3 separate occasions in the first half. New Mexico very easily and probably should have been leading that game at halftime.
Yeah, that's an issue going forward. Now, as a fan, what I'm hoping is we get a little help at altitude. It was if you've ever been in Alabama, it's a grass field. It was rainy the day before. It was rainy in the morning. It poured the last 5 minutes of the first half. The ball does not carry as far. So we're hoping high altitude this weekend, the ball goes into the end zone on those kickoffs. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Rob Portnoy right after this message.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together
Pull together.
to make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hey, look, it's Dwight Goodman.
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom. Boom.
Okay, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. I'm here with Rob Portnoy, voice of the Lobos. Right now, we're continuing to talk about Lobo football. Upcoming, a pretty good team, Fresno State.
Yeah, really good. Mikey Keene is an experienced quality signal caller. We were talking about Devin Dampier, and a true sophomore for the Lobos being such a dynamic quarterback. It's scary because Fresno State throws the ball all over the yard. They have a great receiving core. They might not have quite the single, just dominant type of receiver like Teteroa McMillan from the game at Arizona, but they have at least two very capable and probably as many as three quality receivers, and Keene is just fantastic. The Lobos are going to have their hands full, and they really need to slow down that passing attack to be able to stay with them.
So what do you think? Do the Lobos play heavy on the defensive backfield, or do they try to get pressure? Because we haven't seen much pressure on the quarterback so far.
So that's a great question. Do you play coverage? Just, rush 3 or 4, play coverage? Or do you come after him? I think you got to get Keene off his spot.
Okay.
I think you have to do things to disrupt him and make the picture a little cloudy, muddy it up for him.
Yeah, very interesting. Lobo fans have been virtually to almost 100% positive despite being 0-3. The reality is, as a football fan, you've got to be able to close games, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. Lobos are 2 touchdown underdogs. So despite the fact they seem to be playing better, they've been competitive, that's not, the gambling world doesn't have much faith in the Lobos. So what I am worried about, and I want your opinion on this, is there the ability to close games is a skill. You can play well, you can be competitive, but when push comes to shove, you got to be able to make those big plays down the stretch.
There is something to learning how to win. Coach Bronco Mendenhall said it after week 1. Funny thing is, would we even be talking about this if the Lobos had made 1 catch out of 2 opportunities on 3rd down in week 1 and put the game away on offense against Montana State? Because that's the game the Lobos didn't close. That's the game the Lobos had won and couldn't finish. The other 2 were games they were competitive in against autonomous sport teams that slowly pulled away in the 3rd quarter to create separation where it was a multi-score game. You wouldn't say the Lobos didn't close in those games. Those games you would say that they need to sustain what they're able to do offensively in the first half for 4 quarters against a really good defense. For me, the thing that was very encouraging about the Auburn game is that the yardage total was down. Like the defense played better. And yes, there were still 40-plus points on the board at the end of the day, but they were stuck with short fields multiple times. I think we're seeing progress on that side of the ball, and I am encouraged that they'll be able to cover better against Fresno this weekend, for example, than they were 2 games ago in Tucson against Arizona.
Yeah, right. Good point. Going back to the ability or the experience to win, I think we saw that from Montana State. Here was a team backed up inside the 10, 5 minutes left in the game, had to score twice.
Never panicked.
No panic. Stuck to their game plan, executed, got a break on the first, after the offsetting penalties.
The big run.
Had a big run, which changed the whole dynamic. Failure by the Lobos on that. And again, is that, like, are we going to make the necessary plays to win
that
the
was
game?
the play that Coach Mendenhall, when I asked him what was the tipping point in the Montana State game, he said it was the 97-yard touchdown.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because if you were in the stadium, you could feel the air went out at that point. Now there's 4 minutes and change. It's a 3-point game, which is anybody's game in college football. You might get 2 possessions in 4 minutes. So Lobos came out, got a first down, and then 2 drop balls, and that's the rest is history. So, all right. So what do you expect? Anything different this week that you expect to see?
So we've talked about Fresno State's passing game. They do have a quality tailback coming back who is preseason All-Mountain West as well. The Lobos used a slightly different front, a little bit different look on their defensive front at Auburn, slowed down Auburn's prolific run game for at least a half before Auburn made some adjustments and ran it a little better. And also the physicality of the Auburn offensive line, that showed as well in the second half. But the Lobos went with a pure nose tackle, and they really did bottle up Auburn's run game. And that took the Tigers by surprise because the Lobos had shown more 4-man fronts through the first 2 weeks. I think, Coach Mendenhall's his history is with the 3-man front, right? Being in the 3-3-5 with Coach Long back in the day and carrying that forward with him in his career. I think you'll see him mix and match. The way that the opponent sets up will kind of determine how the Lobos defend. They're going to keep you off balance.
All right. Well, great. Sounds good. I'm all in. You want to go out on a limb, make a prediction?
Oh my goodness!
I know it's not in your job description, but let's not say score. What do you expect to see?
It had been more than 2 decades since the Lobos beat Fresno State. New Mexico wrecked their season in the next to last weekend last year, winning in Fresno. There are enough players, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that have the memory of that. And Devin Dampier played a great game in Fresno last year when the Lobos beat them. It was a signature win for the Lobos in 2023. There is no fear. There literally is no reason that New Mexico cannot compete with Fresno State. They'll have a chance to win in the fourth quarter. That's my prediction.
All right. Excellent prediction. I feel very comfortable, too. And everybody, come on. The weather looks perfect this weekend. Early evening start, right? Am I right? Is it a 6 p.m. kick? 6:30 kick. Let's get out there. Let's support these guys. Let's make this a happening place in Albuquerque. 6:30 kickoff. Let's be there. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little Lobo men's basketball with Rob. Stay with us.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on?
Who are you guys?
Well, sir, I'm going to pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres. They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make them happy back home, Captain. Who's that? That's your new buddy in jail.
If
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. I'm Kurt Roth. This is a final segment of today's 505 SVF show. We're here with the voice of the Lobos, Rob Portnoy, good friend of the show. Time to talk a little Lobo basketball. And in fact, you came over here directly from filming a podcast, and it is filming because it's audio and video with Coach Rich Pitino. How was that?
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know Coach Pitino so well. He is funny. He's witty. He can be sarcastic at times too, in a very humorous way.
Sarcastic?
Yeah, no, he's just so much fun to interact with, and we had a great time. It'll definitely post this week at golobos.com, and you can check it out. And we've had a lot of fun with the Lobo Pod since it debuted. Quentin Webb was actually our first Lobo Pod. He got over 10,000 views, and I cannot wait for fans to get a chance to hear from Coach Pitino. There were so many things to talk about that we covered so much ground, and the time just flew by. And obviously with this incredible schedule he's put together, with the realignment question, with your great event coming up, both the dinner, the tip-off dinner, and the golf the following day, we talked about that. We talked about the impact of NIL on current recruiting. You know, there was just a big commitment announced on social media. He couldn't talk about that specifically, but he talked about recruiting generally and the changes in that and what a big part NIL and 505 Sports Venture plays in it. So just a range of topics, his new roster that's, got many more bigs. Certainly there's more depth in the front court than he had a year ago. And acknowledging that the backcourt is different, and there's some scoring that's lost, and the team will look different and play differently than it did a year ago. So we covered a ton of ground.
Yeah, we were over in the office just the other day, and they haven't put it out yet, but there's, I think, what they call the shell of the Mountain West schedule. Have you looked at that at all?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Technically, none of this has been released. I think San Diego might have put theirs out. San Diego State may have put theirs out. But it's interesting because now we're going to a full
20-game schedule. We talked about that as well.
So just like you've seen this, college basketball fans have seen this in the ACC, I guess the Big East, and somewhere else, where in the midst of what used to be the pre-conference schedule, early December, there's a game. And I guess it's not official, but I'm pretty sure the Lobos will tip off the end of the first week in the pit. Play a few more games after that, and then right after Christmas, I believe, they go on the road. So the schedule is interesting. What I saw is the byes work out well. They're not stuck. Only in the beginning they're on the road twice, back to back, and it'll be really interesting. A lot of talent on that team, a lot of work on the staff to put it together. Though it's like you said, we lose Mash and House, and those guys. People gave Mash a lot of grief last year, which is completely unwarranted. They built this program on their backs, and it'll be a different look. I'm very excited about Donovan Dent. Nelly back for a full year. He's acclimated, and a lot of depth. So it'll be fun looking forward. Quickly, couple seconds. What's conference realignment? Are we just going to guess, see what happens?
Yeah, at this point, there's so many different directions that it can go. I think that the ironic piece of where the Lobos and so many other schools like the Lobos now sit is that while you're working with your remaining partners, of which there are 8 playing football, 7 playing all sports in the Mountain West. You're working with them for the future of your conference and making sure that it's strong and fortified because there could be further poaching. And what do you need to do to prevent that or bring in new members to make sure that you have enough to maintain a strong FBS conference if that happens. But on the flip side, you have to be aware of opportunities for your school. And if that opportunity comes, whether it's from a current Pac-6 or whether it comes from an AAC or however it materializes, both on the football and the basketball front, you need to keep both of those programs at the forefront of your mind and maintain the possibility that it could look very different for the Lobos 2 years from now.
Well, possibility, I think it's almost assuredly it's going to look much different. I've heard stories about, asking to come into the Pac-6 or whatever they're going to call it, Pac-50, by waiving fees and costs. And I'd rather the Lobos kind of reform the Mountain West, UNM be part of that. There's some real up-and-coming schools in Texas. Though this is not a popular opinion, I'd love to see New Mexico State in our league. It would save an enormous amount of money on the sports for travel back and forth. It's a great rivalry, and it helps the state. Anyway, we're coming near the end. Next Thursday, you're going to be our MC. Tip-off dinner. An opportunity, great location. We're downtown at Fusion ABQ. We're actually planning, we have a really cool setup outside if the weather permits. It looks great. You'll get to meet and talk with every player on the team. Coaches will be there. Patino will give us a talk, and then followed up by golf the next day. So it should be great, Lobo fans. We want to see you out there.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great event.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. One more time, football on Saturday, 6:30 kickoff. Conference realignment, football's a big deal. You have 20,000 people in the stadium. Everybody goes, oh, you have 7,000 in the stadium. Like where we go, who wants to bring New Mexico in with them? It's up to us. It's great. The tickets are inexpensive. The weather will be perfect. And we're going to knock Fresno State around. So I'll look forward to seeing you there. We'll see you guys in the tailgate before the game. And we'll be back next week with another episode of 505 SVF. Hang with us. Thanks.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
You make my heart better. Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros